Okay, if you remember last time we had written a program where we took some inputs from the user, okay, like name and age, and we gave a welcome message. We also checked with the if condition, okay, and we also had an example where we checked the nested if condition. Then we moved on to elif and else, and we saw this structure here. You can see this, I have commented this. Okay, in Python, if you want to comment multiple lines, you can make use of 3 single quotes to begin with the comment and end it with the 3 single quotes here. You can see this first line, I have put 3 single quotes, and here, this is my end of the statement. So this 3 single quotes indicates the end of my comments. Okay. So I've commented the previous program, and today we are going to see this while loop. Okay. I declared a variable n and I've assigned a value 1 into it. And this is my while loop, which starts with a condition. Okay. The condition is n should be less than 10. If this condition is satisfied, if it is true, only then it enters this block. How does your block starts? Your block starts after this colon. Okay, this colon indicates we are going to start with the block of the while loop. Okay, so 2 lines are there, 2 statements I have given. The first statement is going to print the value of n. Okay, and then I'm going to increase the value of n by 1. Clear? So even this part, that is n equal to n plus 1, belongs to the while loop. Let me write one more print statement. When I come outside the loop, I just give a message saying end of the loop. Okay. Now let us save this file. So I'll save this. Okay. And I'll execute it. And we'll check the outcome. Now you can see this, the numbers have started from 1. As soon as I get 9 here, that is the last number which is printed. When the value of n becomes 10, it comes outside the loop. Okay. So here you can see when the value, the condition, n is now equal to 10. So this condition is false. So as the condition is false, it will come outside and print the statement saying that end of the loop. Clear? So it's a very simple example which I've taken for the while loop. But remember, if the condition never becomes false, it will enter into a endless loop. Okay, for example, if I say, I change this and I put true here, okay, and I continue printing this. If I execute this line, what will happen? Let us run this. I'll save my file. Now what should happen is, because this is a value which is true, so your while loop will never become false, and it is not going to terminate in the program. So if the condition doesn't become false, the loop will enter infinite loop. So it becomes an infinite loop, and it is never going to come out and say end of the loop. Okay, so either your program is hung, your interactive cell is hung. So I'll just run this one. And you can see this here, what's happening. Now the number is getting printed and it has entered infinite loop. Okay, so be very careful whenever you're using a while loop, especially. You should write the loop in such a way that the condition should get or should become false so that we can terminate that loop. You cannot have an infinite loop. Okay, I'll just kill this process here again. I'll close it, I exit this, kill it, come out. I'm sharing this screen again. So I'll start with idle again. Okay, let me share the screen. Fine. So we are back to the screen, and in such a case, what I'll do is I'll open that file and make some changes again now. So let me open the file. This is my file, try. Now I had not, if I want, I can do one thing. I can write, let us say I don't want to remove that true part. I can write a if condition here. So I'll write if, okay, let us say n equal to 10. Okay, so if it is equal to 10,
Excuse me, sir.
yes, tell me
So the code slide is not visible.
which one.
The code slide.
Okay, just 1 minute. Okay, you cannot see the, okay, 1 minute, 1 minute. Let me stop the sharing part and I'll share the whole screen so that the other files also. Now you can see it. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was not visible before also.
Yes, sir. No.
Oh God, why didn't you tell me then? Fine. Okay, might be because I shared that idle screen, might be because of that. Okay, coming back, I'll explain you this again. You can see this loop here, which I have written. I have started with n equal to 1. And the while loop, instead of giving a condition, what I have given is I have given the keyword true. Okay, T should be capital here. Okay, true is a keyword, reserved keyword. You cannot use this as a variable name. Okay, this is the beginning of my while loop. I am printing the numbers from 1 and so on. Okay, now to break this loop, because if the condition is not given, my while loop will enter a infinite loop. So it is not going to stop at all. Okay, so your program can get hung. Okay, so what I do is I create a if condition inside the while loop, and the condition which I'm giving here is I want to print only up to say from 1 to 10. So I'll give this as 11. Okay, so if my value of n is 11 after incrementing it by 1, okay, I want to break the loop. So there's a keyword called break. Okay, so if I give break inside this, what will happen? It will come outside the while loop. Right? Let me run this one now. I'll save this file. Execute this. Okay. Now you can see this numbers are getting printed. So from 1 to 10, I've got the number. And as soon as the value of n is 11, so when the value of n is 11, I'll terminate the loop. And how do I terminate the loop? Using the break keyword. Okay. Again, break is a keyword. You cannot use this keyword to define a variable. One more thing, if I want to skip some numbers, let us say I don't want to print the odd numbers. So I can write one more statement. I'll come here. I'll write if n modulus 2. Okay. If it is equal to 0, I want to print the numbers. So I'm printing only the even numbers. Right? So what happens? As soon as it enters the loop, the value of n is 1. N modulus 2, I showed you the modulus operator. It gives you the remainder. Okay. So 1 divided by 2, the remainder will be 1. It won't be 0. So what will happen? It will come, it won't enter this if block. In the if block, I have only a simple print statement. It will come here, increment the value of n by 1. Check whether it is 11. If it is not 11, it is going to go back. Okay. Now the value of n, the new value is 2. So 2 modulus 2 is going to give me 0, and it is going to print me the value of n. So let us run this one as well. So I'll save this, run it. And here you can see I'm getting only the even numbers. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. As soon as the value of n becomes 11, it terminates the loop. Any doubts here? No. Okay. There's one more keyword called continue. So let us see that. If suppose, let us say I don't want to print the value 8. Okay. So I can write one more condition. Let us write it here. So I'll write if n is equal to 8. Okay, I'll say continue. But there's a problem here. What is going to happen is the value of n will never change. So I'll increment the value of n first and then I'll continue it. N plus 1. If I do not write n equal to n plus 1 inside this if block and I just put the continue statement, it will enter again into an infinite loop. What will happen? The value of n will remain 8 throughout, because that n equal to n plus 1, this statement down here, will never get executed. Okay. So from this statement, what happens? The loop goes back to this while condition. Okay. Again, it will execute this block. So let us run this one. And whether it is skipping 8, yes, you can see this. I get 2, 4, 6. Now, when it is 8, it did not print anything. It just incremented the value of n and continued. So it went back. Then again, it checked for the value of n and then so on. Okay. So there are two keywords which are usually used with the block, you can say a while block and the for loop as well. That is continue and break statement. Okay. Break is to terminate the loop. Okay. And continue is to, instead of executing the other statements below continue, it is going to go back to the beginning of the loop. Any doubts now? Yes, waiting for your answers. Any doubts? No? Okay. Now let us go ahead and see some operators and then we'll come back to the while loop again. Okay. The assignment operators, especially the assignment operators. Now what I'll do is I'll close this file. I'll write the statements here. So let me go up here. You all can see my screen. Okay, or let me. I'm starting the command prompt. You all can see the screen, the command prompt.
Yes, sir.
Now there are some operators like the operator which we did last time, the arithmetic operators I showed you at the beginning. Okay. Then we saw the conditional operators where we have to you make use of the conditions, especially when we are writing the loops or the if conditions. Okay. We make use of the equal to, not equal to, less than, greater than. All these were the conditional operators. And there was an operator called equal to, right? Like for example, if I have a variable x equal to 23, this is my assignment operator. Okay. And double equal to was your comparison operator. Now there are some varieties of assignment operators, okay, which comes along with your arithmetic operator, which we can use. For example, let us say I want to write a statement. I have declared one more variable y equal to 2. Okay. Now I want to write a statement which says x equal to x plus y. So what is going to happen is it is going to take the value of x 23, add 2 to that, and it is going to assign that result, that is 25, into the variable x again. Okay. So when I display the value of x, I get 25. Now instead of writing this variable, if you look at the expression, your x is repeated on both the sides. Okay. So what I can do is I can make use of the special case of assignment operator, which says I can make use of the plus operator at the beginning equal to y. Okay. So this is similar to x equal to x plus y. Okay. So what does this indicates? What is the value of x right now? The value of x is 25. So 25 plus 2 should give me 27. Okay. And when I display the value of x, I get 27. So similarly, like we have combined the equal to along with the arithmetic operator, I can also have the multiplication along with the equal to sign. So we have all the operators, like I can write x multiplied by equal to, and I can put 2. So here it says 27 multiplied by 2. Okay. So when I display the value of x, I get 54. Now let us divide this by 2. Okay. So I can write x, the division sign, equal to sign, and the number with which I want to divide x by. Display the value of x, I get 27.0. Okay. Similarly, I can perform modulus. I can have the power. So I can have the values. Let us use this x star star, okay, equal to say 3. Okay. So 27 to the power 3 will give you some value, which is coming here 19683.0. Okay. A single star will be multiplication. And if I want to perform integer division, then I can make use of the 2 forward slashes. Okay. So this is some special case of your assignment operator. The other types of operators which we have is your binary operators. What are binary operators? Operators which work on the bits. What are the bit we have? 0 and 1. Okay. For example, if suppose I want to have a binary AND. Okay. So if let us assign some value. If I say x equal to 10. Okay. And I want one more variable, let us say y equal to 4. Okay. Now, what is the binary form of 10? If you divide this by throughout by 2 and check the remainder and find the binary, it will be 0, 0. It will be like this. It will be 0, 0, 0, 4 zeros. Then 1, 0, 1, 0. This is the binary form of x. Okay. Similarly, the binary form for your value 4 will be 0, 1, 0, 0. Okay. I hope everyone knows how to convert a number into a binary form. Anyone who doesn't know how to convert a number into binary? Okay, I assume everyone knows it. Okay. Now, if I want to perform the operation based on the binary form or using the bitwise operator, okay, the first bitwise operator is your AND operator. Now, if you remember, we also have a logical AND, the logical operator AND, okay, logical operator OR. We also have NOT. Okay. Similarly, now we have a binary operator, or you can call it as a bitwise operator, and it is given by a single AND. So if I give X, single AND, and Y, okay, what will happen here? It is going to check the binary form of X and Y, okay, and going to perform the AND. In bitwise AND, what happens? 0 and 0 will remain 0. So wherever there is 1 and 1, especially, only then I'll get the answer as 1. Now in this case, what will be the value? It will be 0 because we don't have any position where the bit is 1, 1 in both the values of X and Y. Okay. So this is your bitwise operator. If I put a OR, the bitwise OR, it is a line, this one, Y, again 14. Okay. I want you all to try all this. Huh? AND is going to give me 0. If you know how to convert it, I showed you the binary form of both the numbers. Okay. Then we also have a bitwise XOR or XOR, this one. Okay. It is given by a different sign, a symbol. So X and this caret sign we have is my XOR, and I give say Y here. Okay. You get the answer 14 here. Okay. We also have right shift and left shift, where the bits are shifted to the right side by a position. If suppose I say X, okay, And let me display the value of x. X is 10. Okay. X, and I want to shift to the right side. So we have 2 less than sign. This is your right shift. Okay. And I want to shift by 1 position. Right. So 1 bit from the right side will be dropped and a 0 will be added on the left side. Right. So if I give this, I'm getting the answer as 5. So you can try this out when you are doing actually the binary form. Okay. I can have the left shift as well. So again, if I shift to the left side by 1, okay, I get 20. Clear? So these are your bitwise operators. We also have some membership operators, which is like a keyword like in. Okay, there's a word called in, and we have not in. Okay, it can be used. Now, these 2 operators, the membership operators, will be used along with either in a for loop or along with a list. Okay. Now, what is a list? List is, you can say, a collection of, say, numbers or strings or float values, and it has to be enclosed in square brackets. Okay. So let us go to the editor again. I'll start with idle, and we'll write a small program here, and I'll show you how to make use of the list. I'll declare a list and how to make use of the membership operator in. Okay. Or you can also print it here. If I say print, say let us declare a string first or a variable. Let us say var1, variable 1 equal to, say, hello world. Okay. This is my variable. Now I want to print whether I have the word hello inside this string. I want to check it out. If I say print into bracket, okay, and I want to check h, let us say whether h in var1. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to search for the character h in the variable var1. Okay. If it is found, it is going to print me true. If it is not found, it is going to give me false. Okay. So because we have a capital H in that string, I'm getting true. If I make a change and search for something else which is not there, let us say I want to search for V in the variable var1, yes, and you can see I'm getting a false. Okay. Now, how do I use not in? I can just give the print. Let us search for V again. This time, instead of using in, I'll use not in var1. So V is not inside this variable. If I want, I can also search for a word. Need not be always a single character. So let me check whether I can search for the word world in var1. Okay. So your in and not in are the 2, you can say, membership operators which can be used to search for some characters, numbers inside a variable, or it can be also used to check it inside a list. Okay. I'll create a file. Let us create a new file. Okay. In this, I'll be writing some code. Okay. And check whether we can make use of how we can make use of the membership operator in. Now, for the example which I'll be taking now, let us also do a for loop. Okay. Last time we did a while loop. So I'll take an example where we'll be writing a for loop and we are going to make use of the in operator as well. Let us take directly, I'll use a for loop. So you usually start with for with small cases. Let us say for item in, and I put a square bracket. I told you square brackets are used especially when we are declaring list. Okay, so let us have some numbers here. Okay, some few numbers. I say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Complete the square bracket. Okay, put the colon to indicate the beginning of the for block. In this, I'll just print the number. So I give print. I can say item colon. Now, instead of giving a plus sign, I can give a comma as well. Item. Okay. Last time we wrote some print statements, and whenever we wanted to combine multiple strings or multiple parameters, we made use of the plus operator. Okay. But instead of making use of a plus operator, you can also separate the parameters with a comma. Okay. Let us execute this. So I'll save it first and say try 1. Okay, and let us run F5. Okay, now you can see this answers. I get item 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. As soon as the value is 6, it is terminating the for loop. Okay, now how does this for loop works? Now in the while loop, if you remember, we had to increment the value of n by 1 so that the value of n changes from one to the other, and ultimately when the condition becomes false, it will terminate the loop. Whereas in the for loop, you can see I have just made use of a range here, a list which has numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what happens in the for loop is it automatically goes to the next value. So after reading the first number, that is 1, when it comes back to the for loop, it will read 2, then 3, 4, 5. As soon as it comes to the end of the list, okay, it is going to automatically terminate the loop. Clear? I can also make use of, like, suppose I don't want to make use of these numbers here. I can use for, say, I in, okay? And instead of using the list values, I can give a range. Okay, so let us say range. Okay, inside the range, if suppose I want to print up to 10, so I give 10 here. Okay, put a colon and I'll print the value of I. So let me give only in double quotes I equal to, complete this comma I. Okay, and I'll run this. Now you can see it started with I equal to 0. Okay, and went up to 9. So the last value, what was the last value? 10. So it did not go up to 10 because it started with 0. Okay. So please remember, if I want to print numbers from say up to 10, then this number inside the range should be 11 because it's not going to print 11. Okay. When it becomes 11, it comes out. Clear? And range again is a function which will generate some numbers for me. So from 0 to 10, the numbers will be generated and the loop will terminate without printing the value 10. One more way of writing a for loop is, let us say I want to have some characters using the index function. Okay, if I have index and I have an say again a list. Okay, so how do I write it? We can check that as well. So I have for, or let us write some sensible code. Let us declare a variable called letters. Okay. Now in this letters, what I'll do is I'll assign some characters, and it is a list. So I have, let us say A, B, C, and so on. Let us have only 3 right now. Okay. And if I want to use this one in the for loop, so I can write for, okay, letter in letters. Okay. So what will happen? It will keep on reading one character at a time, or one number, or whatever value it has, or elements which it has in the list letters one by one, and display it. So I'll put a print statement and I can just print the letter which I've got. Okay, and execute this one. Okay, I get ABC. Clear? And if I want to refer to something, like if suppose, let us write here for I in, say I give a length function. Okay. And I can use letters square bracket I. So here I'm using the index position. The index position of the letters. Okay. So whatever it has in letters, that should be printed. So it will start with 0. Remember, it is going to start with 0. So letters index position 0 will have A in it. Let us run this. Okay, what happened here is not. Okay, fine. Let me go back and make a change. Okay. It is not going to go, length will remain the same value. So I'll change it to range so that it starts with 0 and go up to that particular length. So let us run this one. Okay. Now you can see I have A, B, and C as the output. Clear? So even indexes can be used to access the elements from the list. Okay. And your list index position always begins with 0. Okay. And not with 1. Okay. Now let us do small assignments and check it out how it works. And for that, I'll go to the command prompt and do it. So let me save and just close this one. Okay, here. Now, in case, especially in case of your assignment operators, now can I assign multiple variables on the same line? If I want to do it, let us say if I have a variable x comma y, and I give to x I want to assign 56, and to y I want to assign 78. Whether this is possible. Okay, I press enter. There's no error here. That means it is possible. Let me see what is the value of x. 56. The value of y is 78. That means your assignment can be done. Okay, multiple assignments in fact can be done on the same line. Okay, and we can assign it using a single operator equal to, and the variables and the values are, you can say separated by a comma. Now, if I want to interchange these values, can I do the interchange in one statement here? If I want to move the value of y into x and x into y, can I write it like this? Y equal to, like this, say x or y, comma, x. Now, the first value, you'll see that after equal to, I have given y. That means the value of y should go to x. Okay, and the value which is in x should go to y. Now whether this will work, anyone? Now I'll get both the variables having the same value. Waiting for some answers from your side. So we are swapping the two values, you can say x and y. No answers from your. There's no problem. If I do this, I get the interchanged values. Okay. Clear? Now we'll stop for today here. Come back. I'm stopping the screen share. Now, if you have, okay, Rajat had said it will work. So good. Now, when I'm sharing the screen, I'm not able to see the chats. So that's the reason I could not make out whether you have answered or not.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
So, you haven't shared the recorded sessions in GCR.
For Python?
Yeah, about Python.
No, I have shared it in the classroom. Did you go to the classroom? Did you join the
Yeah,
class?
in GCR. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is there.
Google
It is there.
Classroom.
Actually, I've shared the links there, and the videos are